conducting their primaries were on course to meet the INEC deadline. That since majority of those parties were on course to meet the deadline, then the ruling party had no reason to not conduct its presidential primaries within the time stipulated by the electoral body. So pandering to the wish of the ruling party, in my view, was wrong, given the fact that other parties were able to conduct their primaries within the time that INEC, by its guidelines, stipulated that those primaries should take place. There was no reason in the world for the APC to not conduct its primaries within that time frame. And clearly, in the days leading to the primary election, it was clear that the party was vacillating, clearly wasting time, not appearing to be prepared to have the primary election, the presidential primary election. Yes, they were conducting other primaries, but they didn't show any sign that they were preparing for the presidential primaries of their party. So it didn't come to me as a surprise when we started piling pressure on INEC to give them more time. I felt that INEC at this time must not do anything that will make people begin to doubt that indeed it is independent. INEC has to show to everyone that it is independent and that it is committed to improving our electoral process. And one of the ways by which you can actually show to everyone that you are credible, that you are committed to ensuring that our elections improve from time to time, is to stick to your own timetable. This timetable had been shared with political parties for quite some time. So no party should be seen to be piling pressure on INEC to move its, to alter its timetable just to accommodate a party that clearly didn't take steps to conduct its presidential primary. Look at the PDP, for example. The PDP had completed, preparations. People had moved into Abuja. Accreditation had begun before INEC came up with the decision to extend the time frame for parties to submit the list of winners of their respective primaries. So what PDP did was simply to go ahead with its plans, because if people had booked hotels, if accreditation had begun, why would the PDP not carry on with its primaries? Because telling people to go back home and come back in, say, 4 or 5 days does not make any sense when everybody was already in Abuja. They had paid for their hotels. Accreditation formalities had begun. So it made sense for the party to carry on with its plans for the primaries, and that's what we are seeing today. The primaries of the PDP had begun. So if an overwhelming majority of the political parties asked for this extension, it would have been a different thing. But we are only a few parties led by the ruling party clearly was the one asking for extension, then something is wrong. That kind of extension should not have been granted. Shouldn't have been granted because only a few parties, 1 or 2 or 3 parties wanted this extension. So I think that INEC in future should not yield to pressure in this manner.
Absolutely.
Parties must abide by the guidelines of INEC. Parties must work within the time frame that INEC has come up with to ensure that primaries are concluded and names of winners submitted. And I want to believe that the APC will have held the primaries within the time stipulated, if indeed they wanted to, because this time now the party has clearly now bought for itself a few more days. And the question is, what do they want to do within those 2 days? Pile pressure on people to agree to consensus, pile pressure on people to allow Goodluck Jonathan to be the consensus or anointed candidate of the party? Is that what they want to do within that, within the extra days that INEC has afforded it? I mean, it's just not, in my view, this is just not good enough. You can actually hold your primaries within the time that INEC stipulated, and that's what should have happened. INEC should have stood his ground and no, this will not happen. But INEC has decided to not rebuff the parties that wanted an extension. So there's nothing we can do about that. Certainty of elections is the beauty of democracy. Certainty of elections is the beauty of democracy. And you can only be certain about elections holding when the electoral arbiter does not juggle the dates that it previously announced.
All right,
Mikhail.
Yeah.
If you can hear me.
Yeah, if you can hear me.
Yeah, if you can hear me. Court recently cleared former President Goodluck Jonathan to contest, but Senator Abiodun Olujimi told our correspondent, Adele Bubakon in Abuja, that Mr. Jonathan is a man of integrity, that she may not be sure he's still in the PDP, but she's very confident that he can never contest on the platform of the APC. Do you think so as well?
I didn't hear you clearly.
Senator
Abiodun Olujimi, while speaking with our correspondent Adele Bubakon in Abuja, said that Goodluck Jonathan is a man of integrity, that she may not be sure Jonathan is still in the PDP, but she's very confident that he can never contest on the platform of the APC. Do you also think so?
No, I will not stick my neck out for any politician. In the last few days, all kinds of funny things have been happening. And you want to believe that those things are happening for a reason. For almost 2 years, some people within the APC have been piling pressure on Goodluck Jonathan to join the party, to come and contest on the platform of the party. I don't want to simply dismiss what is happening as having nothing to do with a promise made to Goodluck Jonathan that, look, we are going to ensure that you get the ticket. How would a group of people go and buy 100 million naira form, expression of interest and nomination forms for Goodluck Jonathan? 100 million is a lot of money. If there is no desire to draft him into this race, people won't go to that length. Yes, he may actually be reluctant, but as we have seen, the people who are bent on bringing him into the APC presidential race are not relenting.
Yeah.
I mean, some people try to bring Akiwumi, who is at ADP, into the race. But Akiwumi made himself incommunicado, and at the end of the day, they gave up. We have not seen any sign that these people are giving up. Instead, they are doing their utmost to bring them into the race, to bring Jonathan into the race. And what they want to achieve by that, I really don't understand. Is it that They have suddenly realized that Goodluck Jonathan is the best man for the job of president in our country. The same man that you called him names, you diminished him before Nigerians, you campaigned against him, you said his government was corrupt, you said his government was useless, you described him as clueless. In fact, a former APC governor described him as a buffoon. He called him the ineffectual buffoon. So is the ineffectual buffoon now? Ineffectual buffoon is now being seen as the person who can do a better job
the microphone is not working.
Than all the people in the APC. They are doing their utmost to draft him into the race and extending the time for screening just to be able to bring in a reluctant aspirant. I mean, this is just something that you can't explain. Why politicians behave in this way? And then the deadline for submission of candidates has been extended needlessly. So Senator Olujimi may believe absolutely in Goodluck Jonathan. I am not extremely optimistic. The Nigerian politician is by nature very, very optimistic. I am not a politician. I don't intend to become one. And I'm not extremely optimistic in any politician. Don't put anything beyond the Nigerian politician.
All right.
And when it comes to power, people will do anything to grab power. So if it's been promised power, I want to believe that it too will do its best to grab power. So this is just a battle for power, and people generally love power. And Goodluck Jonathan, I want to believe, is one of those people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's change tack by looking at what Peter Obi's defection has actually caused from the party, the PDP in Anambra State. Because his defection is said to have dampened zeal and aspiration of some of the PDP aspirants to national and state assembly. And it's believed that more prominent politicians in the state would still dump the PDP in the coming days. Talk to us about how this would affect political scheme of things.
I think that the PDP represented a much more formidable platform for Peter Obi to realize his ambition of becoming the president of Nigeria. I do not see how he can realize that ambition in a small party like Labour Party. You need a platform to win a big election, and you need a big platform to win a big election in our kind of political environment, because it is the big political platforms that have the structures that can help galvanize the voters, get them to come out on election day, that have got the war chest to mount a terrific campaign and ensure that the candidate wins. Small parties do not have what it takes. They do not have what it takes. Even if a person is popular and is in a wrong platform, is in a small party, that will hurt his chances of winning an election, especially a national election like the presidency. So I believe that the PDP represented a much better, a much stronger platform for Obi to realize his dream of ruling our country. I have nothing against Peter Obi. I think that he's one of the most credible politicians, the most ethical politicians around. He is frugal. He is not wasteful like a lot of politicians that we see all over the place. And he loves his country. He loves his country. He's honest about his pursuit of political power. And he doesn't see power as something that must be secured in any way possible. That's not the kind of person that he is. So I'm not surprised that he didn't move from the PDP to the APC. But given the nature of our politics, honesty is not enough. Popularity on social media is not enough. We've seen people very famous on social media who contested in these last primary elections and were well beaten. So it takes much more than that to win elections in our country.
Okay.
Peter Obi is not ready to go the length that politicians go in our country to buy people's conscience. Peter Obi is not prepared to do that.
All right. Yeah. Right. BKO, can you hear me?
But I'm worried that the Labour Party, as much as I want someone like him to run our country,
right,
I'm worried that the Labour Party does not have what it takes to deliver the presidency to
Peter Obi.
Peter Obi.
Right. Can you hear me, BKO? Can you hear me?
And I know that many more will leave. It's just normal. Some are leaving the APC as well. Adamu Alero in Kebbi and the majority leader of the Senate, they too have left the APC. Ali Mekena has left the APC. Politicians will switch political platforms at this time. This is the season.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, a source within Anambra said that the PDP in Nigeria has problem. But the problem of Anambra PDP is far more than that of the nation, and that it is still the reason why they have not held primary election for any position. How do you react to this?
BKO?
Well, I know some of the problems that Obi had been going through in Anambra State. I know that since he left office as governor of the state, he has not been able to deliver Anambra to his party, especially when it comes to the governorship and House of Assembly elections. But the PDP have always done well in the national elections. They've always won Anambra State in the national elections. So the party still remains strong in Anambra State. And that's why I'm not surprised that we had some senators returning to leaving the APC and joining the PDP ahead of the primaries of the political parties, because in Anambra, they believe that the PDP is quite strong and it regularly wins national elections in that state. But the governor, the former governor, Peter Obi, has not been able to control the levels of power within the PDP in Anambra State. And that's why the party has not been able to win the governorship election in the state. And local politics is said to be local. Within his own party, is being frustrated. Within his own party, he's seeing the money bag take over the entire contest. So he just told himself that, look, this is not the place for me. This is not the place for the kind of politics that I want to play. So that's why he's gone to Labour Party, where he believes that he can play politics in a manner that is in tandem with his conscience. elsewhere is not convinced that he will be able to play politics in tandem with the dictates of his conscience. So I congratulate him for taking this decision. And he may not win, but at least history will record against his name the fact that he chose to play politics the right way. People buying people's conscience, is something that we have to get away from. Paying as much as 270,000 to a delegate.
Yeah.
It's not the way up, the direction that politics should go. It's a massive shame. But people like Peter Obi are not prepared to do that. So he's chosen to leave the PDP. And I do not begrudge him for that.
Yeah.
I think
Mohammed Ayatollah is also not willing to go that road. That's the reason. It's been said that he's withdrawn from that position. From his aspiration. Correct.
Yes, Ayatollah too. That's the reason he's left. People say if you can't beat them, join them. But it's not everyone who thinks in this manner. Some people would rather quit the race than join them. So Ayatollah has seen that his chances, despite his brilliance, despite the evidence of capacity, Ayatollah has decided to leave because he cannot see himself playing the kind of politics that our politicians play in these days. Ayatollah described what's going on as obscene monetization of our politics. He's not prepared to do that, and he's elected to withdraw from the race. That's another man who not just has conscience, but who is principled. He's taking the decision, and I think it's the right decision at the end of the day.
All right,
we've got little time to go, but let's quickly touch on our very last topic, because all work cannot play this probably make us just so bored in this country. There's a lot of political happenings. I know that you still have more time to do that on TVC News after this program. But then Liverpool hope to secure the third trophy this season. What Real Madrid add to their La Liga triumph. What do you think the pendulum swing this time around?
Well, in my view, yes, Liverpool may have failed to win the league in England, but Liverpool have got the fighting spirit. They've got the determination to win this title. They are fighters, and Jurgen Klopp has trained them to play in a way that is extremely difficult for Liverpool to be beaten. They don't give up. Their press and the counter press is what makes them one of the most difficult teams to play in Europe. You saw what happened when they booked their place in the final. Everyone thought that Villarreal would eliminate Liverpool, because Villarreal cancelled out the advantage that Liverpool recorded in the first leg. But Liverpool came back in the second half, a different team, and completely dominated Villarreal at home in Spain and secured qualification. I know that Liverpool will be fired up for this. I thought that they will be missing some of their players for this final. But as we have seen, those players some of the players that were injured are back. Thiago Alcantara is back. And he's someone who pulls the strings in the midfield. So that is a big boost to Liverpool that Alcantara is back. And even the injured Mo Salah is back as well. With Mane on their side, these are players who can win a match for you in an instant. So Liverpool has got what it takes to defeat Real Madrid in this final. I may not, as a Manchester United fan, be excited or be wishing that Liverpool win. But looking at both teams on current form, I think that Liverpool has got what it takes to win the Champions League this season.
Yeah. So, do you think Liverpool's
failure to clinch the Premier League title will play any role in Champions League final?
No, in my view, their failure to win the league would spur them to give their best and end the season on a high. There was talk about the possibility of Liverpool winning the quadruple and all that. Some teams have not won a single trophy. You are thinking of winning the quadruple. But yes, they've not won a quadruple, but they have a very good chance of winning a treble. You know, after winning the FA Cup and the Carling Cup, they have the opportunity to add the Champions League to it and make it a treble this season. I know that Real Madrid have got talents of their own. I know that Ancelotti is one of the most accomplished coaches of all time. He's won trophies everywhere he's been. But I know that in Liverpool, Ancelotti faces a very, very tough Champions League final encounter. So in my view, Liverpool have got what it takes to win. But in football, especially in the cup final, it takes just one mistake. One mistake can cost a team victory. I know that both teams will be sizing each other up, and there will not be many chances created. So in such a situation, a team that gets the early opening will end up winning the match. So I'm not foreclosing the chances of Real Madrid, given the quality of players that they have, talent at their disposal, and their current form, especially Benzema, who has been firing on all cylinders. But I still give Liverpool the edge in terms of their style of play, their determination, and all that.
Right, absolutely. Well, some people are actually against what you're saying, it can be Liverpool, it will be the other club. But we'll definitely get to see how it pans out at the end of the day. We are actually looking forward to seeing how where the pendulum will actually swing. I'm trying to look for a question being asked by one of our viewers on YouTube, talking about disappeared. But then, you can hear me. Fabian Akeze said Peter Obi swore an oath of allegiance to Ikemba and decamped to PDP, thinking he would become the president of Nigeria. How has that worked out? I'm not sure whether you get the question he's trying to ask. Mika, are you there? Okay, this is the question I'm looking for. This is the question I'm looking for. Abdurrahim Sulaiman says, don't you think that by willingly kowtowing to the demands of some parties to shift days agreed upon by all the INEC is willy-nilly doing away with its so-called independence, that is, kowtowing to the demands of the parties, have actually have actually a nonsense to the idea of independence of INEC.
Yes, that's why I quarrel with the decision to extend, because it will make people to start thinking that INEC is not truly independent. There was no reason in the world to extend the deadline. No reason in the world. I believe that INEC in the last few elections, especially the off-season elections, have shown that they are ready to innovate, they are ready to deepen, make our elections more and more credible. But this kind of move is a bad one, and it sends the wrong signals that INEC cannot be counted upon to affirm its independence when it is absolutely necessary. We've seen INEC postpone elections in the past many times based on promptings by political figures. This has to stop. Otherwise, the faith that people are beginning to have in our electoral process due to constant reform by INEC will be lost. Many people will start thinking that INEC is not independent, and that's bad. That's bad for everyone.
All right. Finally, Fabian Akeze says that the Nigerians who are screaming Peter Obi on the day of election without bribes will not vote for him and Hayatuddin. If they were their party flag bearers, he should forget the social media popularity. I think this person is alluding to the fact that the like of Peter Obi has got a large amount of followers, following on Twitter. The tweets, Twitter, in fact, he literally has more followers on Twitter. So, on Twitter. This does not really translate to voting. This does not really translate to voting. Do you think so?
Yeah, it's right. I agree with him. Politics is local. Politics is on the streets. Don't try playing politics on social media. You saw even the aide of the president, one of the aides of the president, more than 1 million followers on social media. Didn't get more than 10 votes in the primary election. So what is local? You have to play the right way, get on the streets, campaign vigorously, and you do well. Social media has so little role to play in our country when we're talking about politics. It may not be like that in other parts of the world, but that's the way it is in our country.
All right, because that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Please join Babajide Kolade Studio tonight at 7 p.m. on our channel, TVC News, across all platforms for more detailed analysis of PDP primaries. So special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade Studio, for those insightful analyses.
Thank you.
Right. God willing. And thanks to you to our audience for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.